Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. My name is Devin Adams. I'm a FortiNet instructor here for Dynamic Worldwide Training Consultants in Tempe, and I make these videos for the people who have taken my class. And I decided to make a series about the NSE 5, which is the FortiManager, FortiAnalyzer devices. And I am just kind of rolling with these videos, nothing scripted, I'm not a YouTuber. But in the last video, let's go ahead and take a look here. In the last video, we had our FortiGates pulled into the FortiManager for central management. And if you see, there's two very specific statuses that we have to keep an eye out. So one is the config status and another one says the policy package status, okay, of our two FortiGates. What the heck does that mean? Right? There's not much that's intuitive about this, but that does not mean that it is not difficult to comprehend if you just get some practice. And that's the whole point of these, setting up your own test lab, all right? And getting your hands dirty here. So, but before I can even do anything, I thought I'd make a quick video, and this video is going to explain where those two statuses come from and how they relate between the FortiGate and the FortiManager, because these concepts are fundamental. They are key. So this right here is actually from the FortiManager Administrator Guide. If you guys have not gotten that, go to help.fortinet.com and you can go to the documents library and download a PDF version of it, or you can see the live copy that's online. I suggest also doing that for the FortiGate and also for the FortiAnalyzer. All right. So, but basically, the FortiManager is collecting devices and creating a database for each independent device. All right. So let's go ahead and just take a look here. Do I have markers here? Can I draw? Because that would be awesome. Like I said, I'm just kind of rolling through here. All right. So this right here is the device layer, and the device layer is what's in Device Manager. Guys, these are going to be the settings that are very specific for each individual FortiGate that you import into the FortiManager. So it is a database, so there is some kind of like indexing that's involved. But basically, we have our actual FortiGates that are down here somewhere, right? And then the individual databases for each of the devices and all of their settings. And we'll kind of explore what those are in a moment. But those are going to be very independent to each individual FortiGate that you bring in. So as you can see here, we have two of them because we have two FortiGates. Now the things that are universal, all right, which are common across all the FortiGates, is what's known as the Policy and Objects database. So the Policy and Objects database is a single database per ADOM. And if you don't have ADOMs turned on, which I don't in this example, there's one ADOM, which is the root ADOM. And that's going to be our policy packages. And that's where this side of the status comes in. These are going to be firewall policies, security profiles, users, okay? Things like that, and we'll get deeper into that in a later video, but that's something that you need to understand. So on this side, these two right here, all right, are going to be our device level settings. So those are going to be settings that are very specific to each FortiGate, and they live down here in their own independent database, okay? That's how you can move device over from ADOM to ADOM and be just fine. But the things that you do lose if you move it between ADOMs, okay, or the things that are universal are going to be the policy packages, and we need to import those in. And also we can do header policies and footer packages, and these are firewall policies that will rest at the top and the bottom of no matter what FortiGate you put in, okay? We'll go into that. Okay, so but once again, the address objects, the firewall policies, and all the packages, there's only one database for each one of those. Okay, so anyways, so whenever we get a check mark here, it means that the FortiGates and the individual device database are identical. Okay, and when we get a never installed here or out of sync, that's because we made some policy package change and we need to push it down, or we need to pull it up from the FortiGate, and we've never done that before. So that's why it says never installed. But that's the thing, is that there's only one database for policy and objects, and there's an individual database for each one of the device layers. So let's just take a moment and don't even worry about this global one right now, but there is a global one that goes across ADOMs. I might introduce that if we do a video on multiple ADOMs. But let's go ahead and just take a look at what kind of settings are going to be found at the device layer. So at the device layer, if I double click a FortiGate, you're essentially going to get the dashboard of that FortiGate. All right. So you're going to see things like the SSL tunnel that manages these are up. Okay. You can also see the revision database if it's in sync with each other. If there's anything that's pending, you can see the reviews. But as you can see here, we can actually look into our FortiGates just like if we're logged in. All right. Things like router options are going to be in the config database. Things like our host name, our interfaces is going to be in the database. All right. So because these are what's independent from each one of these. So, and if you don't see a display option that you want, you can go to your display options here and turn on all the different views that you can see. So for example here, I'm going to go to customize because I'm doing it from just the local FortiGate. If I wanted to see what DNS settings were configured, I can hit OK. And now I can go to DNS and see what the primary and secondary DNS server are on that FortiGate. So all of those settings are what's going to be in this database right here for our local FortiGate. So what are some of the things that are going to be in our policies and our packages? Well, that's going to be here, and that's universal across all the FortiGates in that particular ADOM. Okay? And in our case, we have 2 FortiGates in our ADOM. And as you can see, we have no policy packages because we haven't imported anything in. All right? You can have as many policy packages as you want and assign them to either multiple FortiGates or a single FortiGate. All right? It's just the fact that all of the policy packages, and also if we go to objects configuration, all of our firewall objects like addresses, services, VIPs, IP pools, traffic shapers, security profiles, okay? These are universal across all of the FortiGates that are within our administration domain, all right? So, and these are the things using what's known as dynamic object mapping, which we will demo because that is the heart and magic of the FortiManager, is how we can have a single policy package be relative for several FortiGates, because we can change things like what physical interface lives for what FortiGates. So we'll get there. But bottom line, and I'll try to keep this short, okay guys, is that there's 2 databases involved. One is the individual database, all right, for all of the settings that are specific to just a single FortiGate, that's unique to a single device. Then there's a universal database for policies and objects that are across a single ADOM. And in our case, we don't have multiple ADOMs here, so don't even worry about that. All right. So, but yeah. So anyways, I'll stop it right there because that's just a brief explanation of what's going on. In our next video, we're actually going to play around with some of the config statuses. And then in a video after that, we're going to bring in the policy package, manipulate it, do some dynamic mapping, and show how we can have like a single firewall package for multiple FortiGates, and it's going to rock. So that probably wasn't helpful. Okay, we usually spend like a full day, in class explaining a lot of these concepts, but that's the whole point of having your own NSE 5 lab here to play around, guys, is because it does take practice and it does take a little bit to really comprehend it. But once you do, you'll actually respect the fact that you can have a FortiManager manage hundreds, if not thousands, of FortiGates because of these tools. So it's pretty darn neat. Anyways, so once again, I'll stop it there, and when I get around to it, we'll actually start doing some stuff in the next videos. So, all right, guys, thanks a lot, and I'll see you guys then.